Hello and welcome to IRL Season 9 F2 round number 9 at Mexico. It's the F2 tier and qualifying looks rainy, as you can see, light rain. See Lee Kelly then already leaving the pit lane. In the Williams, he's very eager to get out on track. The championship still is in play between Kevin and Lewis, and I believe Lewis is here. And Kevin is a bit worried about Lewis, even though Kevin apparently has done over 112 laps on TT just to try and match him. This title fight is getting very competitive between these two, and it's a good rivalry for the F2 tier, and it could be the first time we see not a back-to-back, but a person who's won the F2 championship before win it again. Kevin's had 2 tries, won it once, missed once. This is his 3rd attempt. Will Kevin be able to win this championship, or will Lewis be able to win the F4 championship like it was last season, and then win the F2 championship this season? Only time will tell as we get ready for the qualifying session. As we see Lee Kelly out on track as we speak, currently on SF intermediate tyres. And let's see how he does, and we'll actually confirm where he is in the driver's standings. Let's see, he's going into the S section now. Lee Kelly is actually 5th in the championship, 67 points. He's completely out of the championship, only 3 rounds remaining, which is 75 points. And he wouldn't be able to make it in the championship hold. There's still 4 people within the chance of fighting for the title, but the main competitors are Lewis and Kevin Harrison, which he has a 13-point gap since he tried that strategy in Japan, which cost him. However, Lee Kelly then is about to begin his flying lap. Coming into the final corner then, he needs to get a good enough exit, and it'll be interesting what strategies and setups they are using in this qualifying session. Because you never know, the race could be full wet, could be into, or it could be completely dry. And Jesus has made it. It's good to see him back. It's been a while since I've seen him race here. As here comes Lee Kelly down the straight then, approaching the speed of 204 miles an hour. Goes into the braking zone, into 3rd gear, go for 2nd for the extra rotation now, into turn 2. Rides Kelly, I'm surprised that wasn't invalidation. Through turn 3, nice and tidy exit from Mr. Lee Kelly. Down the straight, DRS would be activated if it was dry, but it isn't. As you can see the Alfa Romeo in the background, that is Kevin Harrison. On his outlap as his teammate yet again can't make it today, unfortunately. I hope that does change, as Lee Kelly is now in the double right-hander, which then is about to end sector 1, which is now in sector 2. So let's see how he takes the S section as we're on the TV pod view. Hits the curbs, really taking it nice and peaceful, nice and relaxed. Doesn't want to overthrow the car because it can easily spin out. Nice time through the S section, doesn't make an invalidation, no mistake at all from Lee. He's now coming into its sector 2, he's a 1 minute 2.5, don't know if that's good or not. As Jorge has made it today, so we may have 18 maybe today, then it'll be great to see. As then Lee Kelly then is now coming up to the final chicane, my favourite part of the track, into the final corner then. Let's see what Mr. Lee Kelly can do and see what current pole position that time will be. As he comes now, and he does a 124.961. Good lap there from Lee. Don't know if it will be good enough for Paul, if it lets me actually change the drivers. As we're going to go on board with the Haas, which I believe is Jack Yates. Jack Yates then is coming to the line now on a lap. Will he take Paul? He takes 2nd with a 126.3, almost 2 seconds off the pace. That isn't good enough for him as we go on board with Louis. Louis is about to cross the line, and he does a 126.4, so he's only a 10th and a bit off. As the racing point is pitting. Yet again it's doing this thing where it's let me pick the drivers. Joe Hollis now is coming to the line in the other McLaren. Currently 13th. Let's see what he can do, as Louis, remember, did get a penalty, I believe, in Japan. And Joe takes 26.4 as well, so the McLarens are very equal on pace, 3rd and 4th. As we'll go on board with the championship points leader, as Sassy Pickles just moved to 2nd place with a 126.357 on the intermediate tyres. Good lap there from him as Langfeld goes 6th place, Can in 7th. As we're on board with Kevin Harrison, who's actually invalidating his lap. Now Sorg hasn't left the pits yet. This could be a tactic for the race. As we're on board with Energy Zeus, who's still in the championship fight, I believe. He's currently in 9th place on a lap time, says he's joined mid through quali. And let's see how he takes the intermediate conditions in the AlphaTauri as he's now into the hairpin. Taking it nice and cautious as he's about to begin his flying lap. And the lap has gone underway then. Let's see what Energy Zeus can do. He's coming down straight. See if he'll hit the speed trap of what Lee did. Nah, he's a mile an hour off. As Jorge's left position again. Hopefully he can get back in control of the car. As Jesus then is now into turn number 3 on the exit. Ooh, rear end's a bit wary there, like it was trying to snap, and he kept it under control. As he's now entering the first sector, currently purple, 30.8. Now he's going into the twisty section of sector 2, which he needs to get right because you can lose a lot of time, and he's just gone wide, and hopefully that doesn't invalidate. It doesn't. He did lose time there, so I wouldn't expect him gaining any time. As he's now going into the twisty section, which is a good part of the track. It's very hard to keep it under control if your tyres are worn out, or even attempts. Don't think you see that good car control under there, and he actually has backed off his lap. And he's not going for it as we go on board with, if it lets me select again, we're going to go on board with Louis if it lets me. Louis is actually on a lap right now. He's actually just entered into the S section. Let's see what he can do then. The current championship points leader by 13 points. He had a good result in Japan, which kind of helped him out after Kevin decided to make a pit stop, and Louis actually got the advantage. Will he be able to get the advantage at Mexico? 2 rounds after this round is left, so maximum points is 50 after this round. So the championship can't be won today at all, so the championship won't be in his mind. We're just trying to score most points as possible for Louis today. Just try and outscore Kevin is his objective. Although his objective in qualifying is to beat him, and he scores second place with a 25.912, the first person to break in the 25s, and still miles off Lee Kelly, who is second quicker. And Lee Kelly is pulling all the stops right now in first place. As we're going to go on board with Brandon Vilgas right now, who didn't have a good result last week, and unfortunately I believe he had a penalty. I will look on the Street Fans very soon on penalties. Why the Sondre has rejoined the session. I think you can realise he disconnected. Hopefully he has no issues with the lobby and no connection issues at all. But right now, Brandon in 17th, pulling away in the S section. Almost putting full throttle there, still lifting a little bit just to control, but it looks like the rain is lightening up. I don't know if it's maybe dries at the end, but it looks a lot lighter than what it was at the start. As he's just finished sector 2, don't know if he's purple or not because it hasn't come up. Into the hairpin corner he goes. Right now then, into the final corner. Oh, he wants a bit deep, and it could easily ruin your race if you go deep in there and hit the wall, and that will be you game over. As Nolan there is really fighting the car on the final corner. There's a 25-1 then, breaks really close to Lee Kelly's time, literally just a 10th. So Nolan Fair in second place. As hopefully no one's having any issues. Again, it's not letting me select the drivers. We're going to go on board with who's actually on a lap. Let's go on board with Louis again then. He's... Oh, Lewis, 124.9. Lewis has just set a PB. And is a lot quicker than Lee. It looked like he was a second off, but he just increased the pace, doing an extra lap. Lee Kerr will have to answer for that time, but as we said, we're going to go on board with Louis Quinlan. Currently just in turn 3. He's had a bit of bad luck this season, a bit of aggressiveness from his end, and he is learning now to try and control this a little bit more with his driving. As the past couple of seasons it's been a bit more aggressive from him, but he's starting to learn maybe aggressive isn't a way, maybe to race wheel to wheels a lot better and maybe get better positions and more consistency could be the goal for him next season. As Louis then is now doing so good, as he's just entered sector 2, into the S section he goes now, into 4th, tries to get the extra rotation, into 5th there. I would have gone up to 6th, the rear end is kicking out, so maybe he's not trusting the 6th gear. Although in the S section again though, McLaren is really snappy on oversteer. Lee Case has a new fast start, 24.798, 2/10 quicker than Lewis right now, as Lee Quinlan has backed off his lap altogether as he failed on Cudworth's. Brandon Vilgas has just set the new fastest lap, but a couple of hundredths faster than Lee Kelly. We're talking like David out of a documentary, you know. Well, thank you for that compliment. And how you doing, man? It's good to see you on stream. As Charlie then is still in the pit lane with a 126.462 in 11th place right now, as Kevin Harrison has left the pit lane. So is Sondre Sohaug. We'll keep an eye on these two on flyers as Kevin then begins his first flying lap. Down the straight he goes then, And let's see what top speed he can hit and see if he's compromising something quality for the inter conditions or he is running a dry setup. As Kevin then is into turn 2 then. He rides the curb, really struggling to get the conditions right, even though he is usually good in the inters. He's like Brandon Glover in F1, very good in the intermediates. But Kevin right now has a lot to prove. Is he going to be able to win this title, or will it be just a one-time thing? As Kevin then just finished sector 1, entering now sector 2, both Mercedes, one ahead of him, one behind him. So keep an eye out on Sandra Sorg as well as Lee Kelly sets a new fastest lap at 24.300. He improves even more. Lee Kelly has got a man to prove, 6 lap intermediates compared to everybody else's fresh inters. Lee is pushing the limits today in the inters conditions right now. Kevin Harrison then, invalidates, that's his lap over. He can't get it right as we're going forward with Saunders. It's still, this MFD thing is messing up. Saunders then in the S section, will he be able to control it? Will he invalidate like Kevin? He's got the tricky bit out of the way and keeps it within track limits. Saunders Sohaug will be setting a lap time unless he bottles. Bit of a lock up there, but he keeps it under control. Oh, and that is harsh. He does bottle, and he's got invalidation there. So that's a shame. We're going forward with Jorge, who's in a bit of traffic right now on a lap. Brandon Dogas is just ahead of him. Is also on possibly on a flyer on 3 lap inters. If it was soft tyres or mediums, then probably not. But since it's in the conditions, yeah. Right now then, Jorge in 18th place. It's good that he actually managed to get back in the session. Hopefully he doesn't get infected. He's actually backed off. He's in 0, so I don't think he's actually done with this lap. Interesting then. We'll go on board with Joe Hollis as he's finishing his lap. It is Brown. Oh, as Joe Hollis there hits the wall with a big impact. Moves into 7th with a 25.8. Oh, that's lucky that he did damage his front suspension. Very lucky indeed there, as I believe that's just Energy Zeus who's passed him. No, it's not, but Energy Zeus is holding up Lee Kelly. Lee Kelly in the pits though, finally coming in the pits for a new set of intermediate tyres. So was that RJDW? It is, and he is on a flyer. Just about to enter sector 2 actually. I thought he was in sector 2 already, but he's just entering now. And he isn't purple, isn't green either. So he might be down in his first sector from everybody else, since it's going to be his first lap anyway. But let's see what he can do then. See if he can get the car up to a midfield and try and be with Energy Zeus. As we'll have a look where RDJ is in the Alpha Tauri. I believe that's Ross Williams. He's currently in 20th place. Actually tying with me, actually, with 6 points. So hopefully he can beat me today, round me to 20th. He's really struggling for grip there. Ferrari ahead of him, the rest point behind him, and a McLaren. It's coming down to the line. And he does a 25.522, well 6th place then. And actually that's a good lap time from him there, and he's now letting his teammate, who's just behind him now, come out to pits, so maybe a bit of tactics of slipstream could be in play. As we're going on board with Mr. Flip Fish then, who's currently in 16th place in the racing point today. He's purple in sector 1 at 30.3, I think that said. And as you see, it's got a bit lighter now. It isn't raining as heavy. Now, there's no way it's going to dry off quick enough for dries or anything like that, but you could see the rain stop near the end of the session, which could make lap times improve quite quickly. Maybe that's why Lee was improving so much. But still, Lee currently on an outlap on fresh intermediates. Will probably improve. He'll probably do a 23.8 on those intermediates. As Flip Fish then. Let's see what he is in sector 2. Not purple, but a 1.2.8 there. Could be good. I've seen people do 1.2s in sector 2 as he's now coming into the hairpin corner. It's just Kane keeps it under control, no loose of the rear end. Into the final corner, got to get it right. If you get a bad exit here, you're going to lose a ton of time and also a chance for an overtake if you mess up in the race. As he does a 25.2 then, was in 5th place, and he will be after that and now drops to 6th as Fleddy has just improved and moved into 4th place with 24.9. Good lap there from him as the Bottle Hog is currently on a lap. And he's having the engine glitch, which is awesome to see. He's currently 18th. I hope this doesn't affect anyone, but while we wait for Sandra to complete a lap, in the Constructors' fight right now, it is very close. Mercedes out to the lead with 149 points to their name. Kevin Harrison is in second with 145. So Kevin is doing literally everything he can to be in this championship fight, and both Mercedes are here, Lewis and Cam. So Kevin is in a lot of trouble if they score decent points today. Yeah, I don't think we're going to stay on board with Sondre because that engine is just messing up. I think Red Bull need to invest in Porsche engines or Ford Cosworth. Oh, I would, you know, I would show how it's done, especially when I'm doing 13s, you know, in drives and he's doing 12s. But you know, I can't challenge Kevin in these conditions. This is the only time we're going to go on board Sondre. I hope this fixes in the race, because if it don't, it's going to miss an interesting couple of battles. Sondre then, he's coming to the line with the destroyed engine, and he does a 1:26.1, only moves into 13th place then. We'll be disappointed with that. He probably could easily improve as the rain is still lighting up, and I don't think it is going to stop. We have 46 seconds remaining of the session, and yeah, well, maybe Paco, you should come down on track, you know, maybe have enough of Madrid and come back. As we'll go on board with Louis then, he's on a lap right now, and Langfield's actually not that far behind him. And the rain is almost stopping, but I think it's not going to stop in time. Leclerc then on pole still though, the 24.3. Brennan has improved on his lap time. He's on the 24.368. Now I don't know if that's just because fresh tyre or the weather conditions, as Louis hasn't bad it, but let's see what time he would have set. He would have done 25.8. Well then, he's on another flyer. Langfell, I think, just on a lap. Oh, he's starting one. Can's just starting a lap. Now, what about Louis? Is anyone else actually finishing a lap? Ferrari of Eric, I believe, has just begun a lap. Sondre actually, I think, has actually finished that. I said I wouldn't go on board back with Sondre because of his engine, but he actually has finished his filter fish. Has lost it in the S section. That isn't good for him, and that's his qualifying over. Sondre improves to 8th place, 25.396. And there is the car of the racing point, as the wheel just went through the ground there. Don't know what happened then. As quality is over then for 4 drivers already. So, oh, it's 5, including Filter Fish's retirement, since lap times are set. As Kevin Harrison isn't that far off. Let's see what lap time he can do. See if he can try and get close to Louis' position up ahead. It's going to be very hard if he starts at the back of the grid. Charlie goes into 10th. What about Kevin? Has he kept it under control? Is he going to be close? It's going to be close, and it's a 25.6, only 10th place Kevin has gone. And he won't be that happy since he's going to lose a lot of time to try and catch up with Louis. As Langfell is about to finish his flying lap, and we've got Mercedes as well, which I believe is actually Lewis. It is Lewis, and he's just improved to 3rd. Langfell goes into 15th. He couldn't find any time. Very close grid indeed, as we'll have a look on the gap to leaders right now. As next up is Can. Can does a 25.8. That would have put him 25.8. Only would have put him 14th probably. So that's a shame there for him, and that is qualifying over as we wait for Louis Quinlan, who's in 16th, to retire from the session. And we'll go down the qualifying grid. As Haas and Alfa Romeo having a bit of a fight there into the S section. Great overtake. Well done. Here is the qualifying results. Leclerc then on 6th lap, old intermediate tyre to the 24.3. Couldn't beat it on fresh rubber. Brandon Villegas in 2nd. Lewis, good qualifying position in 3rd. He's used it in 4th. Fleddy in 5th. Sassy Pickle 6th. Pitbull Fish in 7th. Better result from Sondre in 8th. RJDW, good qualifying in 9th. Kevin Harrison, disappointing in 10th. Jack Yates, also disappointing in 11th. Usually these two are quite high up. Charlie in 12th, good qualifying result. Eric in 13th. Joe in 14th. Langfell, very disappointing not being close to his team in 15th. Louis Quinlan 16th. Can in 17th. Jorge still learning the ropes on this new game and the car in 18th place, but he will get up to speed very soon. as that is the qualifying grid then, and it looks like Louis is going to take the fight to Kevin and extend his championship lead in this race. As we move into the race then, and hopefully the conditions are better than what they were in quali, as I'd like to see a lot of overtakes down the straight and overtakes possibly in the S section if people have the guts and have the skill to do it, as we wait for people now to load and get race setups and strategies sorted. Well then, everyone has put their strategies, no issues at all. No restarts or anything like that, hopefully, in today's race. Oh, well, everything is up as it won't let me actually. Okay, I don't know what's gone on, but I can. Alright, there we go. I was getting worried then I couldn't go on broadcast view. Well then, as we'll go down the grid then on tyre strategy. Everyone has a free choice of tyre since it was raining in the race then, and it's very interesting. A lot of people have gone softs, a lot of people have gone mediums, no one's gone hard tyres. So because they decided to start the soft tyre strategy, which isn't going to help at the start of the race. What about Kevin though? Kevin Louis done alternate strategies. So then, Lee Kelly on softs in first place, Brandon in second on mediums, Lewis in third on soft tyres, and Jesus in mediums in fourth. It's basically like a multicolored pan. Fleddy in fifth on softs, Pickle in sixth on mediums. Then it is Flip for Sondre, RJ, W also on soft tyres, 7th, 8th and 9th. Kevin Harrison and Jack Yates starting on the medium tyre. And that'll be interesting what they can do in the long run of the race, since they're going to try and play it long and see if they can do better tyre life than Lewis on the soft tyres. Charlie is also on soft tyres in 12th. Eric in 13th on mediums. Joe Hollis 14th on soft tyres. Langfeld has decided to go on the alternate strategy than his teammate on mediums. Langfeld's very good on the alternate strategies and can sometimes make it work. With Louis Quinlan, these two came to blows at Japan. Langfeld and Louis, hopefully it don't happen today. Can is 17th on softs as well, and Jorge is back of the grid on soft tyres. Well then, all eyes in today's race is on Lee Kelly, but it is also on Lewis and Kevin Harrison. These two title contenders, maybe even Energy Zeus, these two title contenders could even crash today and nothing could change. It is going to be very interesting what happens in turn number 1. Who will take the lead, who will finish the race intact with a full car. Well then, this is IRL, Season 9, F2 tier, round number 9 at Mexico. The light sequence will begin very shortly, and Lee Kelly is looking very excited to try and win this race. The light sequence will begin very shortly, as we now have 5 red lights. And the lights are off, but the driver's not off, and it's doing this glitch as it did on the last game, so we've got a very big hold. Light sequence should be starting in 3, 2, 1, and they're off then, and it looks like Lee Kelly's had an okay start, but Brandon is trying to keep with him on the start as well. We'll keep an eye behind as well, going through right there, Mercedes, and now trying to look at Lewis. Lewis is already into second place. Will he take pole in first into turn 1? As we're almost going 4 wide down the straight. No incidents, no crashes, no carnage, and hopefully they keep it under control. Oh, there's carnage in the background. That is a Red Bull of Sondre Sohaug and Brandon Vilgas there going off into turn 1. That was a heavy hit, and it looked like someone actually hit the Renault into Sondre, and Sondre has got massive wing damage, and he will be very frustrated with that, and he'll be annoyed with the driving style here, as now he's trying to make his comeback, as a lot of people are lagging. And Kevin Harrison already into 6th place, trying to move up. Ooh, almost rear end split foot fish in the background there. And now he's on the outside of the Ferrari, trying to make his way through the field. See if he can do it. Right now then, we're on board with Lee Kelly, already pulled up a commanding lead of 2.1 seconds, and he's Zeus in second place, Lewis in third, also trying to move to second. This guy in second place is on medium tyres. He should be a lot quicker. You see a lot of action in the background right now, as there is a Ferrari attempting an overtake on the Alfa Romeo. So Kevin is in some trouble. Oh, almost a rear end there like in Japan, but this time it was with Fleddy almost rear ending Kevin there, and luckily nothing came to it. As Will Fleddy, oh hang on, we have yellows. That is a Mercedes, that is Can. Can is round in 18th place, and he has no front wing damage I can see, but he's hit the wall and he's got a lot of work to do if he wants a recovery in this race. As Louis now moves into second place, and the racing point behind Flip Flop Fish isn't that far away, as Louis then in second place now, and Kevin Harrison is still fighting away to try and hold 7th place, as he's got a lot of cars trying to overtake him, but he gets a good exit in turn 3 and moves into 6th with a commanding gap now to try and catch up with the Renault of Sassipico in 5th place. Well, with all that hectic at turn 1, there's still fights going on, with Flip Fish now going side by side with Energy Zeus. Now, if I was Energy Zeus, I'd just let him go. He's on the soft tyre, he's quicker, and they're shoving each other off the track. Hopefully they don't shove each other too much where they'll get warnings and pens, because as I said on the F1 tier, if that happens when you get reported, could lead to a penalty. As Flip Fish then in 4th place, still trying to get 3rd. As we've already got first penalty for Charlie, he's got a 3-second penalty to his time. You see Sandra's Sohaug is actually in the background getting challenged by Charlie. That's because Sandra's front wing damage, and I don't think he realised he has it. And Zeus though is in a bit of trouble now. Lee Kelly's just set the fast lap, 17.7. Louis has just destroyed that, 17.2. Leinfeld picks up a 3-second time penalty in down the straight, it looks like. And here comes Flip Flop Fish then, making a possible overtake into turn number 1. Down the straight he goes, as we see any overtakes in the background. I don't see any. We'll go on Sondra if he's under threat. But Flip Flop Fish is under control. We actually are going to jump forward with Sondra because there's a possible overtake actually for his position, because that wing damage isn't helping on the right side of the end plate, and it will cost him if he pit. So he has to make a decision. Will he try the one-stop soft to hard to avoid an extra pit stop, or will he continue with the 2-stop strategy and just try and take these tyres as long as they can with the wing damage as well? Right now though, Sondra in 10th, still holding that position, as the medium runners are 4th, 5th and 6th place. These guys are in a good position for the race. They could easily take the win, quite easily. That's why Lee Kelly and Louis, it's optimal and it's needed that they pull around about almost a 9-second gap, because if they don't, it could cost them. And Zeus now is starting to pick up a little bit of a train. Flip Flop Fish is trying to pull away right now. He's currently at DRS range. Just makes out of it, so he will be safe from that. But we could see a possible overtake from Fleddy though. He's not that far, Kevin. We'll speak about a person who's not far off Fleddy is actually Joe Hollis. He's right round his tail, making an overtake as we speak right now. Going on the inside line. He knows what it's like to race at Mexico. I've raced at him as well. My voice is going. I raced him at Mexico. He was very eager to make a move. Kevin Harrison just moving to 6th place, so I don't know what happened there. He did miss that. But Joe Hollis made the move over to Fleddy. Now Fleddy is coming back at him. Now, if I was Fleddy, I wouldn't, because you're just going to lose time every time battling, and you want to make your way through the field. But he's going for it. Joe is doing his good defending skills, and that is good there from Joe Hollis into 7th. Good defensive. Oh, as Louis almost rear ends the Ferrari. He doesn't want to do that. Doesn't want to get wing damage, because he could get decent points in today's race. Although Sassy Pickle right now is not happy that Kevin's ahead of him, and now he's got Joe Hollis all over him as Joe's picked up a 3-second time penalty. Sassy Pickle is the man in the train. Let's have a look in the background now. Langfeld has dropped to 16th. He must have an issue with something. Both Red Bulls are not doing very well today. As this picks up with another 3-second penalty now. We're running a bit off track, and he's trying to catch up with Kevin, as Kevin has now started to pull away. So now it was basically a 6-car train. It's now a little 2-car train and a massive train in the background. But Sassy Pickle's position, who is getting caught by Joe Hollis. Now Joe Hollis isn't going for the overtake yet, but he might dive it. Oh, he almost hits the rear end there. He wasn't expecting to break that early, but he's setting up for a good exit, and look, he gets it. but so does the Renault. Has he done enough to hold that position? As we see a lot of people, DRS is open and trying to close back up on Kevin Harrison, and they have caught back up. So Kevin needs to watch out and save a bit of his ERS battery life to see if he can pull away. As we've all board a gap to the leader from Kevin. Gap to the leader is around about 8.2 seconds. Lee is doing what he needs to do right now to try and keep a healthy lead and try and win this race, as Lee is doing very well in first place with a 2.5 second gap to Louis, who has a 2.8 gap to Flipfoot Fish, who has a 2.3 second gap to Energy Zeus, who's then got a second gap to Kevin, who's got a massive train behind him. As Kevin Harrison is trying to get a second IRL F2 championship. Got beaten last time by Ryan, who moved up to the top tier, and he's actually doing quite well. He's actually challenging the front runners, so Kevin has a lot to prove, see if he can do it. But right now, in fifth place, he's trying to catch up with Energy Zeus, but Energy Zeus is just doing what he needs to do to pull away. You may see an overtake further in the background, actually. Ooh, Sondre is causing a massive train now. Louis Quinn has also backed off. Has Louis got damage or something? No, he hasn't. But Sondre is now dropped to 11th place, and he's got a lot of cops behind him who want to overtake him. So I'll give him credit. He's doing quite well. He's just missed an overtake from Joe and Fleddy. Actually, we're getting the end of it as Joe then around the outside of Fleddy trying to make the overtake. Though it might be the other way around. Oh, Joe is there. A bit of snap on the rear end, and he keeps under control, loses the time, loses the position. But he keeps the car on track and no damage. So Fleddy then moves into 7th place, and Joe Hollis drops to 8th. Fry though, Fleddy now is starting to pick it up again now, and he wants to make another overtake, and those softs won't be that good for much longer. As we said, so in F1 tier, they only did around about 10 laps. And if you are doing the 2-stop, you either do 10 laps on softs, then medium, or you do 10 laps on softs and then try and attempt a long medium stint and then another 10 laps on softs. It's going to be very interesting what he tries to do, because if they pitted now, you'd have to do 20 laps on mediums just to make a soft at the end. So probably an 18 lap, 15 lap medium run stint, which is roughly what they'll do anyway. So they're going to have to watch out for that. And it never used to be the 2-stop in the F2 tier, which was quicker. It was usually the 1-stop, and 2-stops now a thing in Mexico. Right now, though, Fleddy is trying to come back and starts to pick up with Kevin Harrison is now trying to catch up on Energy Zeus. We'll keep an eye on that fight. But Energy Zeus is still in the championship contention. I believe he is in 3rd place. Have a look right now. Yes, he is. He has 79 points to his name, so he still is in just. So he needs a good result today, I believe, as we have a VSC, and that is because Jorge Correa has gone off. Now this could be a good strategy for the soft runners to pit on mediums if the VSC stays out long enough, because yeah, they may lose track position, but then they have to decide then, right, mediums 20 laps, gotta risk it. Lee's not going in, Lewis isn't going in. That's interesting. Flipflop Fish on the other hand is going in. He's in the pits, and he's the only one who's decided to pit. So he will be going on the either set of hards or mediums, as the VSC has ended, and we'll go green and green as Louis Quinlan's got a drive-through penalty under the VSC speeding. So it's got a 5 seconds penalty speeding in the pits. So for having wing damage, which is probably going to take 5 seconds at least, he's now got a 5-second penalty added to his next pit stop. So he will not be having a good day in the office, and he just wants to forget about this race altogether, as now he drops to 17th place, basically back of the grid. As right now then we see Fleddy trying to close back up on the start to pick up, but not close enough, as we see Kevin Harrison trying to make a dive into the turn number 4. Energy Zeus has him on turn 5 and holds the line. Kevin still has nothing to answer to make the overtake, and Energy Zeus is just chilling out. He knows he's still got a chance to win the championship, but he needs Kevin and Lewis to have a bad race today, either DNF or not score any points. So right now then, Lee Kelly has still got a lead of 3 seconds, almost a 10-second gap to Energy Zeus, which is referring about then an 11-second gap to Kevin. So at least done what he needs to do to make this 2-stop work of his really work and have a good enough gap. But if I was saying I'd do soft medium soft, could be the best strategy call, as these two have pulled away. I will give him that. And Lee is doing a very good job in first place, as we're still on board with Energy Zeus now, who's just pulled a bit from Kevin. but I don't think he's safe. Kevin will be using all the tricks in the book to make this overtake. And he is gaining as somebody has just pitted. That is Joe Hollis and Flamen into the pits. They're doing the undercut strategy, but they're doing the undercut on the guys in the lead on the soft tyres compared to Energy Zeus and Kevin, who are on mediums, and they've still got a long way to go. As now Kevin Harrison then is gaining. He's got a beautiful run there. I'm going to say brute then, but beautiful run into third place. And there's Energy Zeus. They dropped the fourth. Kevin is needed this position. Third place would get him 15 points. Second is 18, so it's a couple of points more. So he's only losing a couple of points, and championships can easily turn. You could have a 40-point lead and then you lose the championship, which I know of, but it can easily happen. So Lewis just needs to keep them in, you know, they maintain the pace and try and hold second place, because eventually those soft tyres he has will lose touch. As the gap 8.2 seconds, one board with Jack Yates right now, trying to make an overtake on Louis Quinlan for ninth, but he's struggling in the S section with Dirty Air, which on pad, which I know he's on, can be a lot, but oh, actually, where's this guy come from? Where's Langfell? Langfell has just made an overtake out of nowhere. I didn't even realise he was there. Has Jack Yates got an issue or something? He has left end plate missing. That's why he's struggling on Dirty Air. He will need to decide to pit, because he's going to lose too much time. And I have a weird feeling Louis Quinlan was involved, as Louis gets a 5-second penalty added to his drive-through, so he's just getting fed up, and I can tell that frustration under that helmet. He won't be happy with the FIA. Other than Jack Yates then, down the straight, he's losing a lot of downforce because of that front wing damage. And Eric then is now starting to reel him in for 10th place. So we'll keep an eye on the fight. We'll keep an eye on the fight up front as well, don't worry, we'll keep an eye on that. But right now, this is the close fight we have. As Eric then moves into 11th, or is it 10th? It is going to be 10th, is it? Yes, it is. 10th place he's got, and he's done him. Jack Yates has nothing to answer, and he's kind of, I'm not going to say he's crippled himself, but he's kind of ruined his race a little bit now, because he's got a win damage. He should have pit, to be honest, and then stretched a second set of mediums, but maybe he doesn't have that second set of mediums and he's trying to do a soft stint. So it'll be interesting what Jack can do, as the soft runners should be pitting very soon, and I am right. Lee Kelly then in the pits. Lewis stays out for one extra lap to get an overcut on him. Will he make it work? Kevin Harrison then has caught up a little bit now. Gap 10 seconds to Lee. It is now, let's have a look to Lewis then, as it will show me very soon. It's 8 seconds and he has caught up a little bit. So Lewis needs to make this outlap work and perform maximum pace to keep the position, or he will lose it in the long run, as Lee Kellen has left the pit lane and he's going out just ahead of Langfell in 9th place on fresh medium, so he doesn't have to worry for Langfell that much. He's on 10 lap medium, they won't be the best, but he's in traffic. Lewis will be behind these probably and lose a bit of time to Kevin even more. So right now Lewis has to literally 100% push, as he's now starting to push a little bit now. Gap 8.1 seconds. It's going up a little bit then stabilising. So it's going to be interesting what Lewis can do. The strat round here is a 2-stop, soft, medium, soft, or it depends what your preference is. It's a 2-stop anyway. You can do a 1-stop, but as we saw in the F1 tier, it does lose you time packers. So a 2-stop, the alternate strategy would be soft, medium, medium. It can be soft, medium, soft, or soft, soft, medium, or it depends how you preference it. But the pit stop for the medium runs will be lap 15 roughly, and the mediums can roughly go 18 laps. We've seen Sonja take them 20 laps and then get a puncher. So it's just going to be an interesting tactic. Sutton Fish has been given a 3-second penalty, so hopefully that doesn't affect him, as he is in 12th place, as he's actually trying to fight. We see Lee Kelly then has just passed RJDW, as he's back past Brandon Vilgas now for a position, which isn't going to affect him as much as I thought it would, because he's not in that much dirty air now. Oh, you see an uptick further behind in the background. That is Flip-Flop Fish on Mr. Jack Yates. Eric is still fighting Langfell for 7th position, which will be further down the grid when everybody else pits. Lewis still has a pit, and he's actually increased the gap. Gap is now 8.3 seconds. So Lewis is picked up the pace a bit more. He now feels comfortable on a low fuel run on the car, because you can see the fuel warning light's on. Maybe he's got more pace on a light fuel load, which is helping the tyres a bit better than it would on anybody else's car. Will he be pitting this lap? We'll stay on board with him, because I have a wee feeling he will. And I want to see where he comes out on track. As here he comes then into the hairpin corner. Let's see if he decides to peel in the pits, because if he don't, it'll be very interesting, and you will eventually lose time. He's lost a couple of tenths there. 8.1 seconds the gap is. And he's in the pits. So, has he done enough to keep away from Lee Kelly? As soon as Kevin gets past, I'm going to go gap to leader from Lee. And I want to see what roughly the gap is. He's going on a fresh set of mediums, and he is out the pit lane. And here we go, gap to leader for Lee Kelly is 8 seconds apparently. And Lee Kelly will gain that time back and make it 5 seconds. He's just sets the fast start, 17-2. Lee is on a mission right now in 4th place, currently the net leader as Louis leaves the pit. What about Eric though? Will Eric get him? As the gap is around about 1.7 seconds. He's going to have the overspeed. Oh, but no, Lewis did enough on that outlap before he came in on the in lap, just to keep that gap. And now his next objective is to catch up with Brandon Vilgas, which is 3.2 seconds ahead, which then has a 1.4 second gap to Lee. So he's lost time to Lee a lot, but Lee just needs to focus on winning the race. He didn't in the championship fight, he went enough rounds. If he did most of the race, he could have been, and he could have actually been a dominant force, but unfortunately Lee couldn't do all the races. But he's in 4th right now, going into the S section, and he's looking for the victory today. As Kevin Harrison then has been caught a little bit now by Energy Zeus, gap 8 tenths. As Energy Zeus and Slash Big all got penalties, Kevin Harrison has got 0, and this is where Kevin and Jackie Yates are very good, and this is how he beat me at the title. His consistency, not getting warnings, not pushing all the track limits like everybody else does, just keeps calm, maintains a strong pace, which is very good for a driver of his calibre. And right now, in 1st place, the 2nd gap now, so ironically, top 3 all in 2nd of each other, and Lee Kelly is gaining. Gap now to leader is 6.7 seconds. If Lee actually catches up on this fight before they pit, it's basically settled. Lee will basically have the win, because these guys on these pit, they'll have around about a 15-second gap by a pit stop, and then they'll have to pit again. So right now, Lee and Louis are looking in a very good position, because the gap from Lewis is not penalties, is 10.9. He'll have a 9-second gap. And speaking about Energy Zeus struggling, he's just lost the rear end a little bit now and lost a bit of time to Sassy Pickle, who's looking for a possible overtake. As we're going to keep an eye behind as well, Sir Eric and Langfeld are fighting against Flip Flop Fish for 7th, who was one of the guys fighting for a podium and lost Flip Flop. He's 7th place right now with 3.6 seconds added to his time. Well, they've got a gap of 3.6 seconds, but as 3 penalty, as Lee Kelly has got a 3-second time penalty added to his time, could cost him the win if Lewis decides to catch up and pick up the pace. And speak about Lewis, he's already caught up and he's making a move. Brandon Vilgas doesn't really argue with him, and Lewis is making a move early on, and he's into 5th place, into clean air. But maybe that was a silly decision to make the overtake there, because Brandon's now going to have DRS if he doesn't pit. But I think he is going to pit. Unless Sassy Pickle, no he can't. Sassy Pickle's pitted, he can't pit, so he has to wait next lap. Kevin, Energy Juice and Sassy Pickle are into the pits. I want to see what that gap to the lead is for Kevin and see if he gets held up, and he does. Energy Zeus gets ahead of him, and Kevin Harrison has been held up. I think there was a front wing change possibly for Kevin, and he's now dropped to 9th place and been beaten by the AlphaTauri team. Oh, and he's possibly going to be into a massive train of the McLaren and the AlphaTauri behind. Could cost him, as it's cost Sassy Pickle, but will it cost Kevin? No, he's alright for now. But he's going to have to fight his way through, as there's yellows in Sector 2. That is going to be Quinn, the VSC. That has kind of helped Kevin out a little bit. It's going to stabilise his energy deployment, but it's also helped out the guys in the lead, because now they've got a gap of, what, to Kevin, around about 20 seconds. They can cool their tyres off a little bit, save a bit of energy, save a bit of fuel until they VS in. It's a shame that Luke Quinlan is out of the race, so that's 2 DNFs, one in the S section and one into the start of the S section. So maybe people are not really liking Mexico as we thought. Brandon Vilgas quickly tries to re-attack Lewis, can't make it work, but Lewis right now, gap 4.3 seconds. He only needs to improve a pace of 1.3 to try and hold the lead of the race, because he could take the net lead if he actually gains that gap. But Lee Kelly got a penalty. He needs to try and make this strategy work. Will he go on another set of mediums, or will he go on another set of softs when these two pit? Very interesting, because Kevin is on softs now. He will be flying Energy Zeus on mediums, and he'll be on the soft stint last. Kevin then is trying to catch up with Energy Zeus and Jack Yates, and Jack Yates is parking the bus, which I know that will be a tactic between them two. They're good friends and they wanted to be teammates this season. Unfortunately couldn't happen since Ninja took that spot. But Kevin then, going down the straight, will he be able to take Energy Zeus's position? Yes, that is. He's making a dive into turn 1. Now this is where the softs will play into effect in this big gap they have. Ben Jesus, what he needs to do, just defend and defend. Keeps defending like this and he'll hold Kevin up each time and it'll cost him time now. Gap to leader is 15.4 seconds right now. So they have gained a bit of time compared to what it was. I agree, Paco, he always does, but you know, it also cost Jack the championship that time when he did it. Yeah, that's true. Kevin then in 6th place then. He's moved up. Kevin then is on a flyer on the soft tyre. Ooh, that's a bit wide there. That'll probably be a warning. Imagine if Kevin gets a penalty and Lewis doesn't. That could cost him. 7 points might not mean much, but it can mean a lot in 3 rounds. It could be then a gap of a win. Lewis then in 2nd place. Gap now 4.3 seconds to lead. Gap 4.5 seconds to flip-flop fish. He's got enough gap to the leader, 14.5, so it's around about 10 seconds. Kevin has just improved to 16.4. He hasn't really gained that much time as Eric has decided to peel into the pits and go for his scheduled pit stop. So both Ferraris right now, 4th and 10th. Good to see the Ferraris doing well, especially since I left the team. Ferrari this season, as I was team with JCK. But yeah, Ferrari doing very well right now. But Louis then, gap now, he's getting a bit of time now, a couple of tenths, 4.1 seconds, maybe leads side to relax a little bit, he doesn't want to get another penalty and cost him time. But right now Lee is in control, still in the lead, gap 4.1 seconds. We're now on board with a fight between Joe Hollis actually and the AlphaTauri driver of RJDW. As Kevin Harrison picks up a 3-second time penalty, which I told you could have happened, and that is going to cost him in the race if he doesn't get his head into gear. Get his car sorted out because that penalty could cost him. Lewis then, still no penalty. This is not like Kevin to bottle under the pressure to pick up a 3-second time penalty. And maybe that's a bit of karma for what Jack did to help him out to make an overtake, as Sondre has now just lost a position, which I just missed on Brandon. Has he still got front wing damage? No, he hasn't. He's got a fresh front wing. It's just because Brandon's on softs. These two came to blows at turn 1, but I don't know if Brandon actually got hit by somebody else, because it was a big hit in turn 1 and it shoved both of them off. Hopefully there's no heated arguments between these two at the end of the race, because yeah, I hope it doesn't come to blows like Max Verstappen and Ocon in Brazil. But Eddie's just then picks up a 3-second time penalty to his time, currently in 6th place, 1.3 seconds off Kevin, but he's trying to stay with him on these mediums as Kevin is pushing on these soft tyres, trying to actually catch up with Fleddy. Kevin could easily put himself back into contention of winning this race because he's on softs now. He's going to gain a lot of time. I just thought he would have gone softs in the final stint. It's going to be interesting what he does because he's going to have to take these softs to lap 16. He doesn't have to go and set the mediums. He's going to have to take these to lap 16, but by then they'll be all on the same compound tyre. So, in theory, he might have done a good strategy, Kevin, here. But as I said, that 3-second cost him was another 3-second penalty added to RJDW, and that probably hurt him in the race as he's just got a gap of 1.3 seconds to Joe Hollis, who also had a penalty, but we'll check penalties on the late stages of the race. We're on board with Kevin Harrison now, looking to make an overtake for 4th place. I'm going to say he's net 3rd right now, but he'll probably lose that split. He's actually not done with him. He might actually want to come back at him. Doesn't make the overtake. We'll keep an eye further behind, see if Langfeld gets a good one on Charlie. So is he close? He might actually be close enough, to be honest. He's not far off. Nah, he's not close enough for this time round, but that's because Can's helping him out with slip, and Can still needs to pit. Oh, that's just picked up a 3-second time penalty. The only person who got penalties: Eric, Jack Yates, and Lewis. I did say I would look at penalties at late stage, but since Bottle's got a penalty, we'll look at penalties. Most everyone's got 3 seconds. Sanjay Sohal gets 14 seconds worth of penalties. The Bottle said he doesn't like this track. He has been disqualified here plenty of times, but the Bottle Hog himself is just not having a good day in the office, and hopefully he can keep that under control in the race today. As Kevin's already caught up with flip-flop fish. He's got a gap up to Louis, 6.3 seconds. Well, look, gap to leader now between these two. 11.3 for Kevin. So he has caught up quite a lot on these softs. Eventually these softs are going to be started down on when they're around about 8 laps. So he's got another 4 laps of pushing. But then he's going to have to start thinking of tyre life. as we could actually see a Renault overtake actually further in the background. We'll keep an eye on Kevin, don't worry, we'll keep an eye on Kevin, but the Renaults are going side by side. It's been a while since we've seen a Renault and Renault side by side. But Kevin then into fourth, going to possibly move into third. He holds it. Around the outside he's trying to do it. It's a very easy move to make if you can nail the corner right. I know from experience, but no, Kevin's still there. He's going to have to send it. Silverfish is giving him plenty of room. Who's going to have guts? Oh, they're going side by side and perfectly executed there from Kevin. I've got to give him the credit there when it is due. And good race awareness from Flip Flop to give him the room when it's needed. And Kevin then moves into third, Flip Flop fourth, but Flip Flop's going to have the RS. And is he going to make a dive coming back at him? No, he doesn't have the room yet. But he will possibly on the next straight as Joe Hollis picks up a 3-second tyre penalty. Gap's now 7.3 seconds to lead. Now Lewis is probably thinking, well, I'm in a bit of trouble. Oh, Flip Flop has gone extremely wide there. I don't know what happened, but he went really wide. I don't know if he's trying to get extra speed down the straight or something. That was a weird tactic. But it's cost him time, and he's 8 tenths now down, and that could open it up for Fleddy to possibly make an overtake for third, net third, since Kevin will have to pit again. But yeah, as I said, it's going to be very interesting, the strategies, because you know the main run could be at one thing, very in a good position starting mediums. Guys in soft starting could be in a better position, so it really depends. As in a heated fight for 8th place, I can see in the background. Brandon Vilgas, Joe Hollis, and Sassy Pickle. Sondre has just been completely dropped. Gap 4.2 seconds, so Brandon has done what he needs on these soft tyres, and he is the lead car. Well then, we're on lap 21 out of 36. We see Joe Hollis yet again struggling with the rear end. He just snaps it every time on that corner, and it's costing him time. It cost him time against Fleddy. He's also a ton of time against Fleddy actually in the fight. And he's on medium, so he's on the same strap. So that's very interesting. As we're going to keep an eye on Joe actually, because he could get overtaken. So we've got another 3-second time penalty added to his time. That's probably what, 18 now? 20. So he has a 20-second. I really feel sorry for Sondre. I don't think he's getting points today. It's just more bad luck for him. And he just needs to have a bit more good luck next season. Joe Hollis then into 9th place, but is he safe? Sassy Pickle then is looking for an overtake as he's switching, going on the outside, moves into 10th place. Joe Hollis does, and Sassy Pickle moves into 9th. Good overtake as we see Khan and Leinfeld in the background fighting out. There's a possible 3-wide moment here if Khan can get a good run. But look at Eric, he's sending it back to his old self. Mr. Eric Salimer is going round the outside, trying to make it work. Can't hold it. Leinfeld then gets the position. Eric needs to try another tactic if he wants to get the position right now. Gap to Lewis and Kevin, 6.3 seconds. Gap to Lee and Lewis, 3.2. So Lee has made an issue somewhere, and Lewis is looking comfortable for first place in today. And if the way it goes, if say Lewis won, Lee second and Kevin in third, that would be a 10-point blow. And that 10-point blow, Kevin is 13, that would be a 23, that would be almost a race victory. Then he would only have to score a couple of points more than Kevin at the next round to win the championship, if it went like that. So Lewis is doing a very good job. I'm not calling it or anything that Lewis has got the win in sight. Could easily change, could crash out, Lee could crash, anyone, anything could crash, the tyre could blow up, anything can happen. But right now, where Lewis is sitting, it's looking very good for the next round. Kevin though is still fine. It's Sassy Pickle then, and RDJ have just switched position. That's because the toy driver has decided to peel into the pits for his scheduled stop for either a soft tyres. Now that's going to be interesting if he goes on softs, and he hasn't. He's on mediums. Joe Hollis has gone on softs. There's no way softs are going 13 unless you really save your tyres. Joe is in 16th now. Sondre is in 9th, but yeah, the gap he has to lead is 27 seconds. It will be 47 seconds when his penalty is added and when he pits, so it's probably almost a minute behind. But right now Sondre is not having a good day, as Charlie and Eric are now fighting for 10th again, as Langfeld's now dropped to 12th place, as Lee is being caught now 3 seconds, and Kevin's not catching as much as he was. Gap now 6 seconds. He only gained a couple of tenths that lap, so the tyres are still working well compared to the mediums, but they're now starting to die off. And as I said, right about lap 8, those tyres compared to those mediums will be disgusting when they hit lap 10, because he will have to make his pit stop and will have to make the undercut strategy. But Lewis will be making a pit stop soon, because there's no way he's taking those mediums 20 laps. It'll just ruin his race. He needs to decide to go on softs and pull, and he can do that soft strategy very soon. He needs to take his tyres 2 more laps and try the undercut on Kevin, which could help him out. But right now, let's have a look gap to lead. Will he be any traffic? Close traffic is right behind him, and they're only a couple of seconds, so possibly he may be behind Brandon Vilgas again. But that just depends, to be honest. As I said, those softs need to die off. Kevin now 5.7, he's getting another 3/10 a lap now. So where Lewis is looking, it's looking comfortable for his victory. And right now, as I said, I'm not calling it, but it looks good for him right now. I don't go to Langfell, who's looking for a move on Charlie for 11th place, trying to score Rebels some points. Since I believe they didn't really have good points last weekend, as Charlie then goes deep, trying to defend. Ooh, almost wheel to wheel, side by side. You don't want to get too caught on that wheel, because if you hit him, it's your fault. You're not alongside. It has to be your half of your car has to be alongside. There's yellows. That is a Renault. That is Brandon. Brandon's round. I pray that doesn't cause a safety car for Louis' sake, but that is full front wing damage. He needs to be careful. He moves out the way. Very good that the car is ghosted, but no safety car over VSC. That is very interesting that it didn't cause that. Lewis then is staying for another lap. Still hasn't pitted, but the tyres for his softs will make it to the end. He needs to decide when he's going to pit. But Brandon, well, he's now safe from Brandon. He's now going to be behind Flip Flop Fish, who's still needs to pit. So, and Flip Flop Fish is actually on 16 laps. That is interesting. Maybe Flip Flop Fish is trying to help Louis to say, here, I may be able to do 20 laps, but those tyres are blistering. He's 6th place. He's lost all the pace. Brandon, Flip Flop Fish could be a factor if he tries to take these tyres to the end, which I don't think he can. It's impossible, but he's doing a very long strat on those mediums, and it could help him, and it could affect Lee and Lewis if they get stuck behind him. We'll have to keep an eye out on that fight as we go back to the intervals and gaps. Gap 5.4, so Kevin's still finding a bit of time. Lewis has found plenty of time on Lee. Gap now 2.6, so Lee's in a bit of trouble. Will he pit? His pit box hasn't come up, and he's in. What about Lewis? Lee's just got a 3-second time penalty. Lee has just got a 3-second time penalty. This is brilliant news for Lewis, as Lewis then goes on a set of softs. Kevin stays out for an extra lap. This is great news for Louis then, since now he's at the moment, the way he sits, he could be confirmed winning this race. However though, Energy Zeus is now in 2nd place. He is currently, could be actually the net leader. He's got 10 laps on mediums. He could try and go to the end. I'll tell you one person who is definitely going to the end. It's Sassy Pickle. He could be a controversy to Kevin because he's only just behind Lewis. So Lewis actually wasn't that far ahead. So right now, Kevin is going to have to pull out all the stops because Lewis fresh rubber is going to be a lot better. He's going to have to pit this lap if he wants a chance to win this race. Lewis got a gap of 14.5 seconds and he's already gaining a little bit now. And yeah, I think it is time for Kevin to decide to pit. As Sandra Sohaug and Jack Yates are in the pits together, and they are leaving the garage now as Brandon Vilgas is just getting ahead of him. And there we go, Sandra in the 15th. So it looks like Sandra is definitely not scoring points still unless there's a massive altercation. But the way it stands, Lewis could be in a good position here, as long as he doesn't get a penalty. And Kevin did tell me privately that he was worried that Louis' pace may be too good for him and he wasn't expecting it. As a lot of people now just got a couple 3 seconds. Kevin's now decided to pit. Now this would be interesting. Energy Zeus stays out. It's 20 laps on mediums could actually work, to be honest, if he plays his cards right. Lee Kelly is in 2nd place. Lee Kelly has got a 6.1 second gap. He'll gain that quite quickly. But he has to watch out for Lewis. He may have bottled the win here. Sondre picks up another penalty. Sondre is just racking up the penalties. Will Sondre be disqualified from this race yet again at Mexico? He really is not enjoying this track. Let's have a look at penalties. Penalties, he actually now only has 18 seconds, so he must have served that 5 second now. So he might actually be in a bit of luck. Satch Biggles picking up a 3 second time penalty now in 4th place. Got a gap of 4.9 seconds, but he's going to get caught within a couple of laps, especially on softs. As Brandon Villas sets a new fast lap of 14.8. Right now, Louis is got 3rd place, going to get 15 points. Right now, he would have a 5-point gap, 5-point advantage on points in today's race. So he wants to actually do better than that. Lewis then in third place, 2.8 seconds now. He's keeping that gap. Lee's now realised he's under threat. He needs to push. But Fish picked up a 3-second time penalty in 7th. On lap 27 out of 36, not that many laps remaining, but still plenty of laps of mistakes and incidents to happen. We've got a nice train in sector 2 now, approaching the S section with cars very close together. As Can in 16th, won't be getting any points for Mercedes today, so Kevin's in a bit more luck. Like Lewis is the only one who's actually doing most of the points for the team. I think he's actually the only driver who's actually scored points from the Mercedes to actually stay within the constructors' fight. It looked like the Alfa Romeo team had it won quite early on, but Lewis has done what he needed to do. And gap now to Kevin and Sassy, 2.2 seconds. Keep behind Lee though, gap to him and Energy is 3.1, gap to him and Lewis is 2.8. Gap to leader then, we'll have a look. From Kevin's point of view, it's 14.5 seconds up the road. Right now, Kevin isn't in a good position right now, and as I said, anything can happen. Lee Kelly then, really picking up the pace now, 2.4 seconds. Lewis picks up a 3-second time penalty. Maybe he was picking up the pace too much, and that could cost him now. He's got the same penalty as Kevin Harrison, so he needs to be careful that Kevin doesn't catch him, because if he does, or racks up another penalty, it could cost him the win. Lee Kelly now has a gap, has a chance to keep the win of the race. Gap 2.6. He only needs to improve by 4/10 to confirm the gap to keep the lead. Energy Suit is still staying out. He's done 13 laps on mediums. He's deciding now, probably, there's no point pitting. I'm going to take these tyres to the end and see if I can do it, to try and hold Lee Kelly up as much as I can to be in this championship hunt. He needs to win today's race anyway, to still be in the title contention, I believe. So, right now, Energy Zeus is doing a brilliant job in first place. Lee Kelly in second place. Kevin Harrison finally moves into fourth, but he's got a big gap to catch to Louis on the same tyre compound, 8.2 seconds. Lewis then has caught up though, 2.7 now. Lee is really close, 1.1. Lee has picked up the pace a bit more now as Cam picks up a 3-second time penalty. Lee's really hungry. Lap 29 out of 36, still plenty of laps left. But will Lee bottle under the pressure in this dirty air? Because in the S section, this dirty air, it can be brutal and can give you easy penalties, easy warnings. That's probably a warning there with that little cut. But has he got enough energy deployment to keep the position? Only time will tell. Who's going to win this race? Will it be Lee? Will it be Lewis? Will it be Kevin? Or will it even be Sassy Pickle if a major incident happens? Right now, and he doesn't look like he's going to be in the winning chance because Lee is all over him. Those mediums have gone, and look at it, Lee. He's being very eager. It looked like he was going to try and pit then, but that was very questionable. Lee then is now making an overtake. Down the straight he goes. He takes the lead of the Mexican GP in IRL, and he's now in the lead. So now is his time to pull away and hope that Energy Zeus holds Louis up as much as he can. Kevin's caught up a couple of tenths, 7.9 seconds to Lewis, but that's probably because of the DRS advantage he had earlier on. Energy Zeus though, he's now going to not get DRS advantage, and he needs to try and stay with the gap Lee, but already out of the second window. Lee is in a good position. Gap now 3 seconds, I believe, to Lewis. He has a 3-second gap. Lee Kelly could easily win this race if he keeps this momentum. Lap 30 out of 36, not that many laps to go, anything can happen. Lewis though is gaining now 1.6 seconds. That's Pickle now dropped to 1.2 seconds off Flenny now, so he lost another position down into 6th place. He could lose another position from Flip Top Fisher in 7th place right now, as his fights further down the grid between Can and Jack Yates and Sondra Sohau for the lower position. Sondra should pick up another penalty, so he's back to over 20 seconds worth of penalties, which could cost him, but Lewis is in within a second. If you could just increase the pace just a tiny bit, he's just done it. He's just gained the DRS, so he's going to gain time on Kevin. He's already gained. Energy Zeus is paid, so that was confirmation that Energy Zeus wanted to pit last lap, and Lewis is into 2nd place. Kevin in the 4th. Now, Lewis needs to use his DRS and catch Lee Kelly. Gap now 2.9 seconds. He's gaining. He's low on fuel though, so he can't push as much on the fuel load, but he's got plenty of battery compared to Lee Kelly, who's currently in the lead. Lee Kelly, I think this is his first time he's actually been in F2 in a winning position like this, because the only win he had when he was in the F2 tier was actually at Japan. This time it's at Mexico in this season. Will Lee Kelly win the race today? Gap 2.7 seconds now. We're on lap 31. As we see fights further behind, that's actually Flip Flop is peeling to the pit, so he's probably going for the fastest lap. Gap fastest lap is currently 14.8 from Brandon, who's now just moved into 12th. Now, penalties, he's going to get Langfeld, but he ain't going to get Eric. Eric's still up ahead with no penalties. Eric's the only driver with Jack Yates to not get a penalty in today's race. Joe just picked up a 3-second time penalty added to his time. Gap now, 2.7. It has stabilised a bit. Maybe Lewis doesn't really want to push yet. Maybe not yet to the final couple of laps. Doesn't want to push too early to get another penalty. But Lee has increased the gap now to 3 seconds this lap round. As we're going to go on board with a fight further down the grid, actually, we're going to go on board with Sondra Sohal, who's actually currently under threat by Can and Jack Yates for the low position. No points needed. But we'll keep an eye on the gap at the top, as Charlie has either made a mistake or he's just lost a ton of positions in the S section, which we just missed, which I didn't even realise how close they were. But right now, for 10th place, is also a nice and interesting fight. We'll keep an eye on both fights right now. If Langfeld gets caught on a straight, Sondre is trying all the skill he has, all the knowledge and experience he has racing around Mexico. He needs to make it work. Right now, he's 14th with how many penalties? 24 seconds worth of penalties. He ain't going to get points, but anything can happen. As we're going to go on jump action on Flip-Flop Fish, who's actually making a move on Brandon, and he's making it work round the inside. Ooh, very close racing there between them two. Nice and tidy there. Sondra doesn't get overtaken this time round. Gap now, 2.8 seconds between Louis. And Sondra's been disqualified from penalties. Sondra is out of the race. I called it. I said he would be disqualified, and it has happened. Hopefully this doesn't cause safety car or anything, but he is DSQ'd. That is a shame there for Bottlehound, and I bet he's laughing in that cockpit after that race. But also a bit of frustration as well. Let's Flip-Flop Fish now into 10th place. So maybe he's kicking himself a little bit that he got a penalty, but the goat himself got a disqualification yet again in Mexico. But Brandon has gone round. He needs to get the car around quick as possible, and he's retired. That won't cause a safety car because I believe it's too late. Lap 33 out of 36. Yeah, it's way too late. There'll be no time to bring out a safety car. Wow, the DNFs all around now. It's just Joe Hollis has just crashed out. What is going on? Guys are just dropping like flies. We've just lost a couple of cars. What is going on? Well, sorry, I think that's your 4th time, is it now, you've been disqualified at Mexico? I think instead of Bottlehound racing, it's going to be disqualified racing for your new FP TNM. As Lee Kerr then, gap now between Lewis is 2.6 seconds at lap 33. This is what Lewis needs for the next round to try and win the championship. Because right now, Kevin has lost so much time. Gap 9.9 seconds. This guy is on a mission. This guy won the F4 championship when there was an F4 tier. This guy could win the F2 championship this season. Could be a back-to-back champion in different tiers. This guy is on a mission, Lewis. Currently in 2nd place, gaining on Lee. 2.7 seconds away on lap 34 out of 36. Not that many laps remaining. We'll keep an eye on this fight for now and this gap. We'll also keep an eye on other gaps as well between Energy Zeus and Sassy Pickle, actually. Because actually Energy Zeus is actually coming out Sassy Pickle for 5th place. Sassy's defending. On the inside he goes. And Sassy Pickle then drops to 6th position. Energy Zeus into 5th. I will show you pens, don't worry. There is penalties in play. Unfortunately, Sondra's penalty is not on there. It should say like 56, but yeah. And we have a battle penalty for P3 right now, actually, which I've just caught eyes on, between Kevin and Fleddy. If Fleddy actually managed to get this position, let's have a look at pens again. 3 seconds equal, so he could make the overtake and get the position. If he actually manages to get the position, that could hurt Kevin even more and cost him a lot of points. If he finishes 4th, that's 12 points, and wow. That'll be a 13-point gap, which he only has. So 26, he would have basically. You just need to score 2 points more or a point more to win the championship next round for Lewis if he wins. That is. As one of the penultimate of the race, we'll keep an eye on this fight as well. But we'll also keep an eye on the fight for the lead. Is now 1.7 seconds. He's really clicked up the miles now in that Mercedes. He's now probably activated DAS, which in the Mercedes car, and gaining on Lee Kelly now. He's gaining on Lee Kelly by a lot. What is going on? 5/10 of us. 5/10. He was 1.7 just a minute ago. What's going on with Lee? Is this a tactic from Lee Kelly to back him off into Kevin? Oh, Louis don't get a penalty because it could cost you. Gap now is 3, well, penalties wise, don't mind. Lee's got 9 seconds worth. Maybe that's why Lee went off. He has a 5/10 gap, and I didn't see it come up. Battle for the lead. We'll be going down to the final lap. Down to the wires, Lee yet again is struggling. You can just see him going off the track. He's really struggling on tyre life, struggling on turning in that Williams. He is in a lot of trouble. This is twice this has happened to Lee with tyre wear issues. This could be another bottle for Lee Kelly, but he'll be happy if he gets it on the podium at least. He knows he's not in a title contending fight. Lewis is. This could hurt Kevin as well. Kevin's now under threat by Fleddy now. 0.8 of a second. We've got 2 massive battles for the championship in the final lap around Mexico. Here comes Louis then. Is he going to make the overtake this time round? Down this straight, he's getting close and close and close, but not close enough yet. He doesn't want to dive it, doesn't want to risk having contact, spinning round, losing the front wing. He's taking his time. He doesn't even need to overtake him. He can just stay behind. Look at Lee then, struggling. Full grip. Lee then, on the inside. Lewis making the move into the lead of the race. He has now got a 10-point lead over Kevin Harrison. Will Lee dive it back? No, I don't think he will. What about Kevin? Is he okay? Yes, he's safe for now. He has a 7/10 gap. Fleddy isn't close enough. But will Lewis manage to maintain his composure? Will he be able to hold this victory into the line? Even if he makes one little mistake, loses position, even gets a penalty, he's got the win. Right now then, the guy who's leading the championship by even more today, Lewis, is doing what he needs to do. Keeps himself 100% concentrated with composure to win this championship. But he ain't going to win it today. He's got a good chance of winning it next round. But here comes Louis then. Round the final couple of corners in the Mexican GP. Round the final corner then. Goes into second just to be safe. Bit of rear end loss there. Maybe a bit of scary moment there for Louis. But he takes the win with a 17.7 as his best lap there. And he takes the victory. Lee takes second place. Kevin will take third. But has he got an extra penalty we don't know about? No, he doesn't. Play then takes fourth. And Jesus will finish in 5th place then. Sassy Pickle, who's done, I believe, a 1-stop in 6th position. Wasn't that bad after all, as he just spins out of control there. As the AlphaTauri driver in 7th comes on the grid now, with Flip Flop Fish rounding in 8th place. Eric, good recovery in 9th. And actually moved into 7th with no pens. Langfeld then. Here comes Langfeld. Will he get in anyone on pens? Will he lose penalties? I think he will. And yes, he does. Both. Oh no, Jack Yates stops it. Both Mercs would have scored points, but Jack Yates stops it. And that is a huge blow. And here comes Charlie then, the final driver to come round the track. The 18 car grid, only 13 runs remaining. And he takes the final position in 15th. Oh, sorry, 13th. Well then, very interesting race and a good turnout of events. Driver there is Eric. Got to agree with that. He didn't get a penalty, but I've also got to give it Louis. You know, he kept his composure when he needed to, even when getting a penalty. He didn't unrattle him. So I've got to give it to both of them 2 drivers. We'll have podium interviews, of course, for the F2 tier. I'm not in any rush for time or anything like that, but your winner and the championship point leader extends his gap for 10 points. Kevin will be disappointed, but Lewis takes the win, takes 10 extra points in the championship fight. He knows he can win it, and there is Mr. Lee Kelly and Kevin Harrison 2nd and 3rd. Well then, can Louis be stopped in the final couple of rounds? You'll have to wait and see. Well then, victory for Lewis today. Here is your official results then. Lewis takes the win with Lee Kelly in 2nd with 9 seconds worth of penalties cost him. Penalties yet again cost him today. Kevin, good recovery driver in 3rd from 10th. Freddy 4th, Enzu's 5th, Sassy Pickle 6th, Eric in 7th, RJDW in 8th, Flipperfish 9th, Jack Yates in 10th. Can just misses out in 11th, Langfeld 12th, Charlie in 13th, Joe Hollis, Brandon Vilgas, Louis Quinlan, Jorge Correa and Sandra Soha. Well, actually, Jorge Correa all being DNF'd, but however, the classic GOAT, the Bottlehog, had 24 seconds worth of penalties. He did have a extra 5 seconds, probably 29, was disqualified in today's race in 18th. But he won't let that get to him, as we will interview the top 3, which is Louis, Lee Kelly and Kevin Harrison. Well then, I invite the top three, just waiting for them to join. And we'll start. It was very good as my voice is actually starting to go after that race. I think 2 comms is way too much for my voice to handle. As we wait for the top three then of Kevin, Louis, and Lee Kelly. Kevin Harrison has joined. Wait a couple of seconds, and we'll either start with him, or if anybody, the leader, the winner today, turns up in these couple of seconds. Well, I don't think so. Well, we'll start off with Kevin, and by the time we finish with Kevin, maybe someone might join. If not, we'll have to end it here. Well then, Kevin, a bit of bad luck there in today's race. The weather wasn't really that good in the interconditions. I've got to say, do you think you could have had this win with the amount of practice done over 112 laps, or do you think Louis was just a better driver today, taking the victory and gaining 10 extra points in the championship?
I'm not sure where you're getting 112 laps from, but sorry, ask the question again.
Well, people say
so
it was
could
112.
I have won?
It might
could
be...
I have won?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, my quality was basically out the window because of turn 1. I went deep and lost probably like 7-8 tenths in that one corner. So that there could have easily been at least like a top 4 or 3, like with those guys. So if that was different, I think my strategy was a better one. So I mean, given I was only like 9 seconds off in the end, if I didn't have to make some of the overtakes I had to make, and I was able to just push a bit more in clean air, I think it was on. Yes.
Well, it is a shame, of course, because it was actually getting close in the championship fight. You actually could have gained points in Japan, which cost you when you decided to pit. And now in the constructors fight, you basically are doing the heavy lifting in the constructors. Same with Louis as well. But do you think, another question I'd like to ask, with the constructors being close this round, at like 3 points I think it was, now with Lewis winning and your teammate not being today, do you think it's cost you for the constructors' point of view now, because now both Mercedes have been reliable, and do you think they can easily win the constructors if your teammate doesn't turn up?
Well, I would say my chances of a drivers are slimmer. If my teammate wasn't going to show up, would like him in a party, but he doesn't do that. He did, but yeah. The constructors is probably out the window unless my teammate started showing up again.
Okay then. Well, I haven't really got any questions to ask you, but the final question, which is Hungary next week. With only 2 rounds remaining, the championship's going to be very close. For your point of view with Hungary, you need to get a good result. How do you think you're going to do there? Do you think you could rewrite what's gone wrong in Japan and Mexico and make a recovery for the title fight, or do you think it's basically just going to be a podium and try and just beat Louis?
Well, I mean, I'll have to beat Louis now because the gap is, I think, I mean, gaining 10 points, it should be 23 points. So if I don't beat him, unless he's 9th and I'm 10th, he wins. So I have to beat him, really. I have to win, and I need people in between me and him to gain points back in really both rounds, because if that doesn't happen, I don't think it's possible. Okay
then. Well, honest words from Kevin. And it's good to see a nice title fight going probably to the end of the race, final round. We will then jump on board with Louis in a second, as I just need to invite Louis' other account. But thank you for the interview, and congratulations on your podium, but just bad luck in the championship fight for this round. And hopefully you get a good result next round, Kevin.
Thanks.
Well then, as I said, Lewis, I will go to you any second. Just need to invite Mr. _ Lee Kelly again. It is Lee _ There it is. Right. Well then, Lewis, we will start off with you. Congratulations on the victory. I've got to say, you've done very well in the race, and Kevin did tell me privately that he was actually worried with your TT. But you did a very good result today, and you know, confidence and basically the ball's in your court for the championship fight. You know, you've had 2 decent results. Do you think you can keep this going?
Well, I don't know. I'm completely done now. The race was so hard. You know, the last 10 laps when Lee got his second pen and I was still without a pen. So, and the gap was like 3 seconds. So I knew you almost have it. I was so nervous now. So yeah, I'm happy I won it. I think Hungary actually. I think I can win it already there, but I don't know. I'm just completely done now. You know, when I won last week, I was completely happy. I was so loud when I crossed the line, but today I was just, oh, finally it's over. Yeah, I don't know how it will be next week. You know, I haven't won the championship now because if you remember, I could still not finish the race and Kevin could win, and then I would even lead the championship in the last race. So it's only over when it's over. So I think I need to practice for Hungary, and even. You know that I'm not nervous like I was today for the last race. That I just need to make the championship clear next week, so I don't have that championship in my mind, the drivers' championship in my mind in the last race. I think in the team's championship it will be going definitely to the last race. So yeah. That's it.
Well, yeah, that is true with the constructors, as you said. It's going to probably to the last race. As long as Kevin's team can make it, of course, and get a good result next round. But the way it's going with the points you scored today, I think you could wrap both up next week. But as you said, your main goal is the drivers first, then the constructors, which is a great mindset. And you basically answered my last question anyway about Hungary. You're aiming for a good result. But I will say, but you and Kevin have done good pace this all season round. You know, you've kept at it. So I've just got to say congratulations to both of you fighting this well. It's been a very good season to actually watch and race. Remember I said you did answer my last question, so the only question I am going to ask, do you think your teammate can help you out with the constructors for next round, get a bit more pace? Because he could have scored points today, but Mr. Jack Yates just took that off him by having a not a bigger penalty, as I can add.
Yeah, I think Hungary is surely in good track for him. Even I think the last race, I think they can score definitely some points, but actually I don't think I need him to win the championship. If you look at the second drivers, he got 6 points, and Nathan, the teammate of Kevin, you know, he got 15 points. So as long as he gets 9 more points, the second driver would be equal on points, and I just need to win the drivers. So yeah, I'm just thinking this way, you know. So if you score some points, it will be a bonus. So but I think I can make it alone with the constructors. So yeah.
Well, that's good to hear then. You're looking for both Hungary. Well then, thank you for the interview and congratulations yet again on the win today and gaining more points to Kevin. It's good to see the fight is still going to the end, and hopefully you have a good result next round.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome. Well then, Mr. Lee Kelly, have you joined?
Yes, I'm here.
Well, I'm going to say bottle, but you had shown amazing pace. Like in quali, you at one point you were 2 seconds faster than second place, then a second, then a couple of hundreds. On 6 lap tyres, you did a 24.3. A person on fresh tyres did a 24.3, and you know, you've shown into pace there and quality, and then in the race as well, you were doing very good pace, and it just went wrong at the end, where you had a bit of struggling with the tyres. It looked like, because you went off a couple of times getting penalties.
Yeah.
Do you think if you didn't have penalties, you could have had the win quite easily, and Lewis wouldn't have got it, or do you think you would have still lost it with the issue with the tyres?
Well, I think that if I hadn't got them 2 penalties, I reckon it would have been, because I reckon we would have pushed harder. So I reckon we could have been fighting to the end. But I mean, in my eyes, I was in either the lead and then lead the whole race. To be honest, I don't really know where I got, because my 3rd penalty, I got that literally, it was a straight penalty, not even a warning. And my 2nd one was cutting the pit. I don't know how I managed that, but I think bottom, like you said, is the right word for it. But yeah, I reckon I could have won today.
Well, yeah, as you said, and also another question, like with the bottle, you missing a couple of rounds this season, you could have actually been a title contender. Now, wherever everyone goes next season, F1 or F2 or anything like that, do you think if you were in F2 and Kevin and Lewis was in F2 next season, do you think you could fight for a possible title spot next time?
Yeah, obviously, I mean, it wouldn't be easy with them two. How obviously competitive we all are and how close we all are in pace. It would be a very tough fight. Obviously, I mean, in terms of this season, I reckon that was my goal to start the season, but it kind of died off because of a few bad results. But now I'm just looking to prove what I could have done in these last few rounds and just hope. And then we'll have to wait and see what happens next season.
Well, that is true. Of course, anything can happen next season. Anything massive changes or little changes could happen. But well, with Mexico just being there, and you got 2nd. Do you think for Hungary you could get a possible win and finally get a victory this season, or is it just going to be another 2nd place?
Well, in terms of Hungary, it's probably one of my favorite tracks. So I'm actually excited for this one. I reckon if I can drive with very good pace, I reckon because obviously it's a very hard track to overtake at Hungary. So if I can get pole next week, I reckon or get near the front anyway, I'll have a good chance. But just to wait and see, you never know what can happen.
That's true. As I said, anything could happen. A massive car could just crash and could have Soha win the race, even though you got disqualified today. But well then, congratulations on 2nd place. You just missed out on the win, but as I said, good result for all you drivers there. I think the best driving I've seen from all 3 of you. Well then, thank you again for the interviews, and I'll now do the closing procedure for the F2 stream. I've been your commentator IRL Neon, or it's Jared Fosbury in the booth. It's been a very awesome race to watch, and it was actually more intense than it was in F1. Maybe we can have that next season. But hope you guys have enjoyed this stream, this race today. And if you want to see more action-packed racing for Lewis and Kevin fighting for the title in the F2 tier, join us next week on Sunday at Hungary at 4:30 UK time. If you want to see some F3 action as well, go and check back that stream which happened today at 4:30 UK time, or for the next round at 4:30 UK time next week. FP will be on Wednesday at 8 o'clock on this week, and Saturday will be F1 at 6, being brought by Kevin Harrison as the main com and me in 2nd. I'm going to give him the last couple of rounds as main com. And hope you guys have had a good day, and see you guys next time. Goodbye.